Hi Stampers, I'm Meg from LovenStamps, and I have another Peace and Joy card to share with you here for the month of October. And here is the card we're gonna do. So it is a layered word art card, really, really pretty. I love the way the sparkles in this set really show off the words. You can kind of see where I've used them at the corners there. There are lots of different ways to use these pieces. You can use the words, you can use the leaves, you can use the little tiny greetings, lots of things that you can put together in different combinations for this card. So let's get stamping. All right, so to make this card, you are basically going to need 3 different die cut pieces. So this is a strip of Designer Series paper, Snowflake Splendor, and I have die cut out of it the big outline bubble of the bright word, and then there's the bright outline and the bright tiny script. And so those are cut from Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather. And then I have my Whisper White card base here. Now, for a Whisper White card base, I really like to use the Whisper White thick cardstock because it's just a little bit sturdier and it gives your card just a little bit more oomph, I guess. So this card base is best scored with the paper trimmer or with the Simply Scored board. But you're gonna go ahead and score it in half. So it's just a half sheet card base, 5.5 by 8.5. And I score in the middle at 4 1/4, okay? So here is our card base. Now, this is the piece that we're going to stamp on. So a lot of times when I do like a big white backgroundy kind of card, I like to layer it like this so that I just have that extra element of texture that comes from the border on the edges. It kind of helps to center the elements that we're using. So the piece I'm gonna go ahead and attach first is going to be this Snowflake Splendor piece, and then this is gonna layer right over it. But before I put this down, I want to add some of my sparkles because I want some of them to look like they're coming from behind the layer. So I've got Balmy Blue and Highland Heather, and I'm gonna go ahead and use this as a guide, but I'm gonna take it away when I stamp. And these sparkles have sort of a vertical element to them, so I want to keep them as vertical as possible. I'm gonna put one kind of down here, okay? And then I'm gonna put some down here and maybe have this one peek out just a little bit. Now don't worry about the fact that they're showing in the middle because that's gonna get covered up anyway. And then this one I want to overlap, okay? Just like that. Now, it looks like I stamped on here, but that's actually the paper itself. And so I need one more little stamp here. It's this little corner sprig. And I want to use this to kind of show off the corners of bright. Get it? Bright, like sparkle. Anyway, I like puns. What can I say? All right, so I have those added just like that. All right. Now, the other stamping piece that I need to do is go ahead and do our Merry and Bright. So I'll have to grab those here. And Merry and are the pieces that I need. No, I'm missing and. Well, it's someplace around here. Oh, there it is. Okay, and actually I'm just gonna be super efficient and, oh, I just have a wide piece, that's fine. I'll put them both on the same block and ink them up and stamp and stamp Merry. Actually, I'm gonna stamp them again. So here is the thing about the ink pads. They're fabulous, but sometimes when you need to get around to re-inking, you're gonna end up with kind of a whiter spot in the middle where there's a little less ink at the surface of the pad. And in that case, I find that I get better results when I ink on the edges. And so our hand always goes to the center by default. Jeez, I'm getting those close together. Okay. There we go. We got pieces we need. But you can see the difference between the lighter in the center where there's a little less ink and then the corners where my hand doesn't go automatically. So that's a little bit easier way to get the last sort of vestiges of ink out of there before you go ahead and re-ink your pad. So the nice thing is that you can always re-ink the Stampin' Up! Ink pads with the re-inker. So yeah. I like to have those on hand. There are all kinds of cool techniques you can do with re-inkers too, so they're useful. All right, so we have our Merry and Bright and our Merry and our Bright and these pieces here. So this piece, I'm gonna go ahead and attach flat, and I'm gonna use my multi-purpose liquid adhesive because I want the edges of this to be stuck down flat so that there's really a nice layer contrast between the between the die cut layer and the paper layer. And let's see, I think I can slide that a little bit before I leave glue trails behind. Okay. All right, so we've got that stuck down. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna keep those edges really tight so that when I get my piece like this stuck on, and then it is really separated visually with a nice edge between the two. So I might use more Stampin' Dimensionals, gasp, than I usually would, just because I want to maintain that different in height. And I'll grab my dimensional backings, and I'm making a big plug for being efficient in your stamping right now. So if you haven't seen my LovenStamps studio tours, you're going to want to check those out on the LovenStamps Facebook page. And you can learn more about stamping efficiently. All right, now you'll notice that I didn't get that exactly straight in the little die cut. That's perfectly fine, because what that's going to do is it's just going to like sort of pique people's interest. So it'll catch the eye and say, oh, that really is a little bit different. So, all right, so I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the next layer here on top. And I'm using my multi-purpose liquid adhesive again, and I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there so kind of get it centered. Now, the last part of this actually is a little tricky because it has the bright word, and when you die cut this, you end up with this little tiny dot of the eye. And I have somehow, oh, I just saw it. I was gonna say somehow misplaced it. Be careful when you do this because it's tricky to keep track of that. So one thing that's easy though is to go back and find, just find a little tiny scrap of the Gorgeous Grape cardstock, and you can always die cut that little tiny eye again. It's not like it's gonna use up your last fragment of cardstock or anything. All right, and my other message on this fabulous multi-purpose liquid glue is that it doesn't grab instantaneously. So you have to be a little patient with it, and the easiest way I find to get a really nice bond there is to take an extra stamp block and just stick it over the top. Now, while I'm waiting a moment for that, I'm gonna grab my Take Your Pick tool, which is here. And this is really, I think, the only way to pick up that little tiny piece of purple dotted eye. I'm gonna put the glue on the paper rather than trying to put the glue on the tiny piece that I'm applying. And let's see, I feel like an Ohio State tuba, right? Dotting the I in the marching band. Anyway, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just set that on there, and then I'm going to tap it with the other end. Keep my fingers from getting gluey, and there we have our, ooh, I almost knocked it off. There we have our bright words. Now, Mary Ann are going to get stuck down, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some liquid glue to those because they're super convenient. And flip that over and stick that down. We have Mary and we have and. Okay, so those are attached. Now, when you layer cardstock on cardstock, you want to have a nice, again, just kind of like we talked about with the edging there, or with the Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper layer, you want to have a really nice definition between the top and bottom layer when you have color on color cards. So we have white on white, and I'm going to take this and go ahead and layer it here. Okay, so see how the dimensionals just really help that pop up just a little bit. And then finally, to finish this off, we have these sparkles that are just begging for spots, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take these, and I'm going to use the light blue ones, I think, because I like the way they mimic our paper, and they show off really nicely on the white cardstock, so I don't have to worry about them blending in and getting lost. But these blue adhesive back gems are in the holiday, the July through December Stampin' Up catalog, and the seasonal one, and so they will likely disappear after that. So make sure you get those this season because they're good for lots of stuff, not just Christmas. All right, So that brings us to the end of our layered word art card. I really like how the stamps and the dies on Peace and Joy work together, and they are a really fun way to make some cards that are just maybe a little bit non-traditional for Christmas. So we're doing blues and purples. The other tutorials that I have for you this month are the Peace Gatefold card, the purple Joy card, Highland Heather here, and then DSP card base with the snowflake spender paper too. So lots of great ideas for a limited set of supplies. So if you have all of these supplies, you know you can mix and match and make any of these great designs. And when you order from my online store during the month of October, you will be getting the printable PDF tutorials and cutting directions and so forth, pictures for making these cards. So, all right, let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to sharing more cards with you soon. Happy stamping!